All right, guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are here with Rick, the CEO of Starfighters, and we actually just got to watch a pretty awesome demonstration that I think put us all in awe and gave us a firsthand, real look, I think, at what the technology looks like, what the opportunities might be in the future. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for sharing with us and having your wonderful team show us around the campus here at the Kennedy Space Center. I know we've already talked about a lot, and you've answered some questions a lot. So feel free to get, be to the point with me when you want to be. But I think the first thing we'll probably start with is the technology, because obviously when you demonstrate something like this, I'm sure you're used to the awe that it produces. Um, what sort of proprietary tech do you feel you guys have at Starfighters that differentiates you? Because I know in our earlier conversation, you guys talked about how you don't reinvent the wheel. 85% of what you do is commercially available.
Absolutely right. The aircraft there's no modifications that have been done to the aircraft. They were rebuilt. These were the last operational fighters operating for NATO up until mid-2000s, or mid-2005, 6 area. And they were rebuilt in 2002. So they were the last of the F-104s that were still being utilized as frontline fighters. Nothing's really been done to these aircraft since then. We got the aircraft, they were operational status, and they sat for a few years as we were going through the diplomatic channels to bring them back to the United States. And we haven't really done anything to the aircraft. It's just the high performance nature of the aircraft. And that's the uniqueness of what we provide as opposed to what's available in the marketplace. You couldn't probably do what we did, primarily because of the fact there's no Mach 2 vehicles out there, and certainly civilians don't have any Mach 2 equipment that's sustained Mach 2.
Right.
Something might be on paper said it could do Mach 2. Likelihood it probably can't, and if it did, it's certainly not sustained. These are sustained Mach 2 vehicles. And that makes a big difference. What that's saying is we can get this payload or whatever you're looking to put into high altitude, and we can maintain this high speed with it. And again, if it's standard pod, it's just okay, we went the Mach 2 technology. If it's a rocket that you're launching, like I've indicated and talked about, the faster you're going, the smaller the rocket can be. Or in our case, test articles. Test articles can be smaller. It gives them their Mach 2 capability. They can read all the information from this test article that's like a small rocket under the wing. And then we can translate that to build a different and more sophisticated rocket. So that's the only modification there is. We talk about technologies. We're taking existing rockets that the aircraft carried and just basically just kind of upgrading them, giving them a high-tune modification because technology has improved, obviously.
Right.
And of course, the real technology is in the fact that nanosats, picosats are now part of the inventory, and they weren't that many years ago. So when they say, okay, what can we find? It's the fastest platform we can, so we can save money by keeping the rocket size slower, or smaller rather, so that we can save dollars and cents because there's going to be a lot of tests. There's no Mach 2 vehicles out there.
Right. So you kind of feel like, I guess, that your moat is the availability of the vehicles themselves.
Availability, and we can bring it back. It's a stage one of a rocket, which is the most expensive part of the rocket. Because again, what Tim had brought up earlier, and this is a lot of people don't think about when they say, well, how much does it cost to operate? How much does it cost for that rocket? It's not just the cost of the rocket, it's the cost of the launch pad, the people on the ground, the cement you put it in, the location, what are you leasing this for? All the things that are necessary to make that rocket launch. And then the rocket, that's another part of this puzzle and cost. The whole thing comes in one piece with the F-104 because we bring it back. We have the facility, and that's when we do our price mold, it's baked into one total thing, including pilot, landing fees, the whole bit. And it's not so with the rockets, or it kind of is at the top end, but when they say, oh, the rocket costs this much, well, that's not really what it costs.
Right.
So that's kind of our secret sauce with regards to how we can operate these aircraft still at a cost-effective way. We feel better than anyone else can.
And I imagine talent's part of that too, right? Your pilots are trained to do this. I imagine a lot of people.
We have top level pilots and maintenance crew. Nobody here is a schlep, if you will, and they're all first class. I mean, these guys have kept us going. Now we've been operating for 30 years.
Yeah.
And without incident, I might add. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of where we are at the Kennedy Space Center, I mean, do you guys have plans? I mean, currently, I'm imagining this is enough of an operational environment. Are there plans to expand to other sites or
There are.
have your services?
We,
Okay,
we've
are there?
actually, yes, we've actually signed contracts with other spaceports right now. And
Awesome.
we will be expanding to those other spaceports, as well as keeping our footprint here. And we're going to actually expand our footprint here at Kennedy. And we're going to do the same with the other facilities. So we see this opening up into being a very large, capable operation. And that's
Awesome.
with our new platforms that I've mentioned that we will be getting.
Yeah.
And we should have hopefully this summer.
So, I mean, on the point of those new platforms, I know we talked a little bit about how you guys have made some upgrades to the rockets to better integrate them
Right.
with these tech. And I know you can't mention the name of the new platform, but is part of bringing in this new platform that tech integration as well? Or is it more about just having more aircraft?
What it is it's a bigger platform. So
Okay.
we can carry a bigger payload.
Right.
It's still a Mach 2 vehicle. And it allows us to just do what we're doing with these aircraft, only a little bit bigger. So
Okay.
these will still work for smaller satellite launches, and more importantly, hypersonics. It's a great hypersonic airplane, great chase airplane, because almost everything you do, even with Platform 2, somebody's going to want pictures and video of this stuff, whether it be DoD or whoever. And these are the perfect chase aircraft.
Yeah.
And cost-wise, they're running about half the price of the new platform because it's the size.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, I mean, so on this front of the importance of hypersonic and supersonic travel kind of becoming more important, especially with tensions, geopolitical tensions globally, you guys mentioned NASA kind of mentioning it to you guys as well. Do you see, maybe not calling it a risk, but do you see development opportunities or maybe potentially new fixed-wing aircraft that are going to be developed in that space?
I think so. I believe that there's a lot of people have talked about, a lot of companies we've discussed today that have the full intentions of doing something like we do.
Yeah.
The problem is they got to build it.
Right.
That's number one, and number two, they got to get it certified.
Right.
I don't know if you follow the technology and everything for Boom Supersonic, and I give those
We
guys.
were just chatting about them.
Yeah, I give those guys a lot of kudos. I mean, they've taken and built an aircraft. They're up to 1.5 now. But it's taken years to get there. I mean, they're doing something pretty unique. I like what they're doing. We've actually trained their test pilots with our aircraft.
That's awesome. Wow, that's
and
amazing.
so we know a little bit about what they do, and the guys are great. I mean, and I applaud them for what they're doing. They're not competitive to us. They're trying to develop a supersonic airliner.
Right.
And I wish them all the luck on that. And I think that they're going to get there. But it's taken years to get to 1.5. We're already at 2.2 plus. So
Yeah,
that makes a big difference.
It does make a big difference. Yeah, and I think you're right on with the certification and regulation part of this.
I think time and
yeah,
money.
Right, and I think that's something that the retail audience certainly probably doesn't know a lot about.
The people that you invest with, that's what they're looking for. Where is the biggest bang for my buck?
Right. Yeah.
You know, that's long term. You might say, "Hey, Boom's probably a better deal if they're going to do the same kind of thing." But today,
right? Who can operate today? And you guys are the only ones. And so, walk us through a little bit, I guess, if you could briefly, about what the FAA certification process is like. Maybe how long it would take for a launch vehicle like the Star launch that you guys are working on, and what procedures maybe or processes that you guys take early on.
The rocket itself isn't so much the thing. It's the whole package. It's the rocket launch from the vehicle.
Okay.
So that's where the launch license comes from. We're probably anywhere from 6 months to 9 months, depending how the tests go. I mean, you're still tied in with that, which is the reason we're using hypersonics as our step. So we're not sitting there, oh God, we're cash flow poor now because we dumped it all in launch position, and we found out we need another 6 months. Oh, we're doing hypersonics, so we're still paying for ourselves.
Right, and that's how you guys are managing to stay in the black with all this development.
That's the plan. Hypersonics to keep paying the bills, and extra dollars go into air launch. I'm not saying there isn't money that's got to be expended to do this.
Of course.
But mostly for the development of the rockets, not for the platform, not for our phase one.
So would you say the current capital raise you guys are doing, the primary purpose is going to be for the development of the rockets?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's something to look forward to, right? Like
I think so. And I think that, again, like I said, investors are looking, where's the biggest bang for the buck? And right now, I don't see anybody that's competitive to us. Certainly not for the next several years.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point about sort of the availability of space exposures, right? Like if I'm an investor and I want exposure to the space industry, outside of SpaceX, there's not a whole lot.
No.
You know, and you look at the publicly traded companies, mostly satellite firms,
sure.
right?
And you've got Rocket Lab and some of these, but they're bigger. There's a bigger satellite guys.
Yeah.
You know, we're the small guys, and really nobody's competing with us at our end because they can't. I mean, I don't really think there's anybody that could get up there and do what we can do with our stage one.
Yeah.
And that's what makes us unique.
So your niche customer, you feel, is the customer that wants to take payload to orbit, but not that much, right? Not a massive rocket's worth.
Say your small business says, hey, you know, I'd like to get on, but I got to wait 18 to 24 months to get stuck into the bigger payloads,
Right.
or the big guys, and I get a little niche slot on the side, and maybe it's going to get into the orbit that they want to be at.
And maybe even be a higher volume business.
Yeah, but for us, I mean, we can do it immediately.
Right, exactly. You're already
And the other thing we have is also national security. That's something that, you know, nobody kind of doesn't want to talk about.
Yeah.
Inevitability. I mean, if the worst case goes, I mean, how soon can we get, if our internet goes down, how fast can we get it back up on our GPS technology? We can launch pretty fast.
Right. And so
that's national security. It's about value in that alone.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point about the capabilities that you guys have. So we talked about the FAA certification. We talked about the tech. You know, I'm curious because of how small and it seems intimate this team is. I know that provides a lot of efficiency advantages that you guys enjoy. What has your hiring process sort of been like? And I'm also curious, how is it kind of acquiring talent in a hyper-competitive space like this with companies like SpaceX in the aerospace area? And I know you guys do a very different business, but how have you found kind of navigating the talent pool with companies like that in the mix?
Well, the big part is we don't hire 50 people. We are hiring only what we need to operate. So our guys come on board with us. Typically, they don't leave.
Yeah.
My lead crew chief's been here 25 years.
Wow.
Tim has been with us before we started the business. You know, certainly in a mentorship / consulting role, and we've added very, very few people to the roles. Fighter pilots there's a bunch of the guys that want to do this and like to do this full time. And we have plenty of guys right now that are ready to go, that are already slated on our platform too. So it's no problem getting the right people because we have a good reputation.
Right.
We're known to be honest. We do everything safely. Like I said, no scratches in nearly 30 years, and that's a big statement for this kind of an aircraft.
Yeah, and I think you were mentioning that about sort of the risk parameters being much better for your guys' side of the business than they are for the large rocket launch side of the business.
Sure. I mean, because you're doing with a lot of new technologies,
and
a lot of nuances that have developed. I mean, when SpaceX first started, they had a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And now they've ironed it out, and they're doing great, as you just saw with that launch. It's pretty impressive. You know, like I said, I have nothing but respect for Elon Musk. I mean, he's done something that very few people could do.
Yeah.
And I see that program just literally, no pun intended, going to the stars.
Right. And like you mentioned, they're not competitive with you, but I'm sure you see them doing well as a good thing for the industry.
Oh, absolutely, because that keeps the industry still hot. Everybody's saying, wow, space is the place to be. And it is. I think that's the future, and without a doubt.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So
who doesn't have a phone in their hand now?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Everyone now. No. Yeah, and it does move rapidly. So I think another maybe a good thing to kind of get towards the end of this on is the revenue breakdown, because I know a lot of investors are going to be interested in that. And I know you guys mentioned kind of 3 key areas: the academic research, the flight testing, and then obviously the payload delivery, which will be improved with the launch program. Where are those at currently, sort of as a percentage of the business, and how do you see that changing over the next 5 years, that mix?
I think as these rockets that we're developing right now, because we're doing test articles. Test articles keep giving us the research information that they go back and say, okay, we need to change this modification on the rocket.
Yeah.
And once the rockets come out, we start shooting the rockets, and they say, okay, here's your launch license. And then we go to platform 2. You're going to watch things really, really flourish.
That's awesome.
And we have very little doubt that we won't be successful. I mean, we are very confident, high confidence in what we can do, because we've been doing this forever, and we do it, again, steps to space. I mean, we've been flying these airplanes forever. We know their capability, and we know the capability of the new aircraft we're getting, and we have the personnel. And again, we don't hire 1 million people that we don't know what they do or what their names are. We know everyone within our organization, and like I said, everybody here knows what they did in the last few days.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully.
They could write a novel on what they did. So we work hard here, but there's a lot of satisfaction with the fact knowing that we're doing something unique, and it's very far-reaching with the space community.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's great. Technology is flat out fascinating. I think everyone here is fascinated by it. You guys have clearly done a great job building this team. So I'm excited about the technology. I'm excited about what you guys are going to do with it. I think even the small materials you guys have shown in the previews, it looks like a concept that's very well thought out. And so, I'm excited about the opportunity and excited to see you guys execute on it. So thank you so much for talking with us. And,
you bet.
we will be sure, I'm sure, to visit back again when you guys are ready to start doing those
You guys
launches.
are welcome anytime. We're very transparent here.
Yeah, no, I've seen that, and we've appreciated it. So
You bet.
thank you guys for listening. Obviously, make sure to check out all the details on the company. There'll be more details shared, but we appreciate you guys for listening, and thank you to Rick for answering our questions.